The British Commandos were the world's first modern special forces, created before the SAS, before the Navy SEALs, before any elite unit you know today. Winston Churchill formed them to strike Nazi targets across Europe using stealth, speed, and brutal efficiency. This video covers every weapon they carried into battle: specialized knives for silent kills, suppressed firearms that made no sound, raw explosives for sabotage missions, and squad weapons that changed how small teams fight wars. This is the original Special Forces arsenal. Let's break it down. The silent symbols: blades and killing tools. Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife. This isn't just a knife, it's a symbol of British special operations. Designed by William Fairbairn and Eric Sykes, two men who spent decades studying close quarters combat in Shanghai's criminal underworld, this double-edged dagger was built for one purpose: silent killing. The 7-inch blade tapers to a needlepoint that slips between ribs with minimal resistance. The crossguard prevents your hand from sliding onto the blade during a thrust. The checkered brass grip ensures control even with blood-slicked hands. Commandos train for hours on the Fairbairn method, approaching from behind, left hand over the mouth, right hand driving the blade upward, under the ribs into the heart. Death came in seconds, silently. The knife became so iconic that it's still the official symbol of British Commandos today. During the St. Nazaire raid in 1942, Commandos used these knives to eliminate German sentries guarding the dry dock before placing demolition charges. The smash it. When subtlety wasn't required, Commandos grabbed this brutal 11-inch cleaver. Designed by Fairbairn, the Smatchet was a hacking weapon, heavy enough to split skulls and sever limbs with single strikes. The thick blade wouldn't bend or break even when smashing through helmets. Jungle warfare and trench raids where space was tight and fighting was desperate. That's where the Smatchet proved its worth. It looked medieval, and that was the point. Psychological warfare started before the fight began. Garrote wires, piano wire, thin steel cable, even braided fishing line reinforced with lead weights. Commandos used these for what they called sentry removal, approaching guards from behind, looping the wire around their throat and crushing the windpipe before they could make a sound. The technique required strength and precision. Too slow and the target might alert others. Too fast and the wire might snap. Commandos practiced on dummies for months until the motion became automatic. These weren't just weapons, they were psychological tools that terrorized German sentries who knew British raiders moved through the darkness. Silent killing tools established the Commandos' reputation, but when stealth missions required firearms, they needed weapons that wouldn't wake the entire enemy base. Stealth firepower. The suppressed arsenal, the Lysol carbine. The quietest firearm ever made. Let me explain the engineering genius behind this weapon. British engineers took a Lee Enfield rifle action, chambered it in 45 ACP pistol ammunition, and integrated a massive suppressor directly into the barrel. The 45 round is naturally subsonic. It doesn't break the sound barrier, eliminating the supersonic crack. Combined with the suppressor trapping expanding gases, the only sound was the bolt cycling, quieter than a cough. Only 129 Delisle carbines were made, issued exclusively to Commandos and SOE operatives for operations in occupied Europe. Effective range was 200 yards, plenty for eliminating sentries or assassination missions. The magazine held 7 rounds of 45 ACP, powerful enough to drop a man with one chest shot. During raids on German positions in Norway and France, Commandos used Delisles to clear guard posts without alerting anyone 50 feet away. Welrod pistol. This might be the strangest firearm you've ever seen. It looks like a bicycle pump with a trigger. The Welrod is a bolt-action pistol. You manually cycle each round like a bolt-action rifle. Why? Because it's completely silent. The integrated suppressor uses rubber baffles that absorb gas expansion. Chambered in .32 ACP, later 9mm, it was designed for point-blank assassination. Commandos and SOE agents carried Welrods during missions in occupied territory. Walk up to a collaborator or high-value target, fire once into the back of the head, walk away. The weapon made a sound like someone spitting. No muzzle flash, minimal noise, no ejected brass casings to leave evidence. Over 14,000 Welrods were produced during World War II, and many remained classified for decades. Even Mossad later copied the design concept. Steen Mk IES, the suppressed version of Britain's mass-produced submachine gun. The Steen was cheap, ugly, and unreliable, but the suppressed AIM-KEIS variant became iconic in Commando hands. The integrated suppressor and canvas bag covering the magazine well reduced sound significantly. Firing 9mm subsonic ammunition, it was quite enough for close-range ambushes. The problem? The Sten loved to jam. Mud, sand, or even holding the magazine as a grip could cause malfunctions. Commandos learned to baby their Stens, keeping them obsessively clean. During Operation Chariot, the raid on Saint-Nazaire, commandos carried STENMKIIS weapons during the initial infiltration, eliminating guards silently before the explosives detonated. Suppressed weapons enabled silent kills, but when commandos needed sustained firepower for full assaults, they grabbed proven battle rifles. The workhorses, standard primary arms. Lee Enfield No. 4, Mark I, the rifle that won an empire. British commandos trusted this bolt-action .303 rifle for good reason. It was fast. A trained soldier could fire 30 aimed rounds per minute with the smooth bolt action and 10-round magazine. This mad-minute capability gave commandos firepower rivaling semi-automatic rifles. The Lee Enfield was accurate to 500 yards, reliable in any conditions, and simple to maintain. During the Dieppe raid in 1942, commandos used Lee Enfields to provide covering fire while demolition teams destroyed German installations. The rifle's durability meant it functioned flawlessly even after being submerged during beach landings or dropped from landing craft. Thompson SMG, Tommy gun, American-made but British loved. When commandos needed close-quarters firepower, they grabbed the Thompson. This 45 ACP submachine gun fired 600 rounds per minute with devastating stopping power. The early 50-round drum magazines looked intimidating but were heavy and unreliable. They rattled, jammed frequently, and caught on equipment. Commandos quickly switched to 20 and 30-round stick magazines, more reliable, lighter, and faster to reload. During raids on German positions in Norway and France, the Thompson's heavy .45 rounds punched through winter clothing and light cover. The weapon became so associated with British commandos that Winston Churchill himself posed with one for propaganda photos. Steen gun, Mark II and Mark V, Britain's answer to cheap, mass-produced firepower. The CEN cost just $10 to manufacture using stamped metal parts. It looked like plumbing pipes welded together, and soldiers initially hated it. But commandos learned to appreciate its minimalist design. Incredibly light at just 6.5 pounds, compact enough for parachute jumps and amphibious landings, and firing the same 9mm ammunition as captured German MP-40s. The MKV variant improved quality with a wooden stock and front grip. Commandos could carry multiple Stens for different team members without logistical headaches. The side-mounted magazine looked awkward, but reduced the weapon's profile when moving through tight spaces. Over 4 million Steens were produced, equipping not just commandos, but resistance fighters across occupied Europe. Individual weapons won skirmishes, but when commandos needed to suppress entire German positions, they relied on squad support weapons. Squad support and heavy hitting, Bren light machine gun. Arguably the finest light machine gun of World War II. The Bren fired .303 British from a 30-round top-mounted magazine at 500 rounds per minute. Unlike belt-fed machine guns, the Bren was accurate enough for single shots. Commando gunners could target individual enemies at 600 yards. Every commando section built tactics around the Bren. The gunner provided suppressive fire while riflemen maneuvered. The quick-change barrel system meant sustained fire without overheating. During the Normandy landings, Commando Bren gunners held defensive positions for hours, cutting down German counterattacks. The weapon's reliability in sand, mud, and salt water made it perfect for amphibious operations. Boy's anti-tank rifle, a massive .55 caliber bolt-action rifle designed to destroy early war tanks. At 36 pounds and nearly 5 feet long, the boys punished the shooter with brutal recoil. Broken collarbones were common. By 1942, tank armor had advanced beyond what the boys could penetrate, making it obsolete for its intended role. But commandos found new uses. The massive round could punch through brick walls and concrete bunkers. During raids on German installations, boys' rifles destroyed machine gun nests and observation posts from the extreme range. The psychological impact of that huge muzzle blast was significant, right? Defenders knew something terrible had arrived. PIAT, projector, infantry, anti-tank. Britain's bizarre anti-tank weapon. Unlike bazookas or Panzerschrecks, the PI used a massive spring mechanism to launch hollow charge bombs. Cock the spring by stepping on the trigger guard and pulling back with your entire body weight. Load a 3-pound bomb and fire. The weapon had no backblast, allowing it to be used from enclosed spaces. The PIAT was dangerous to operate. The spring sometimes failed catastrophically, crushing fingers or breaking arms. Accuracy was terrible beyond 100 yards, but the 3-pound bomb could disable any German tank with a direct hit. During Operation Market Garden, British commandos used PIATs in urban combat where rocket launchers' backblast would have been suicidal. The weapon was heavy, awkward, and scary, but it worked. Sustained firepower kept Germans pinned down, but to truly cripple Nazi operations, commandos needed explosives, sabotage and explosives, sticky bombs, number 74, ST grenade. One of WTD's strangest weapons, British engineers created a glass sphere filled with nitroglycerin covered in a sticky adhesive housed in a metal casing. Remove the protective cover, smash it against a tank, run. The adhesive held the bomb to the armor while a 5-second fuse gave the attacker time to escape. Theory was great. Reality was terrifying. The adhesive stuck to everything: clothing, hands, equipment. Soldiers accidentally glued bombs to themselves. The glass sphere sometimes broke during transport, leaking explosive, and the bomb frequently failed to stick to dirty or wet tank armor. Despite these issues, commandos used sticky bombs during early war raids when better anti-tank weapons weren't available. Limpet mines, magnetic mines designed for underwater sabotage. Commandos attached these to enemy ships below the waterline using magnets or adhesive. Time delay fuses allowed the raiders to escape before detonation. Each limpet contained 4 to 5 pounds of explosive, enough to blow a hole in a ship's hull. Operation Frankton in 1942 saw Royal Marines commandos paddle canoes 60 miles up the Gironde River to Bordeaux Harbor. They attached limpet mines to German cargo ships and escaped. The subsequent explosions sank or damaged 6 vessels, disrupting German supplies for months. Of the 10 commandos who launched the operation, only 2 survived, but the mission proved the effectiveness of maritime sabotage. Mills bomb, number 36 grenade, the classic British fragmentation grenade. Pull the pin, release the lever, count to 4, throw. The cast iron casing fragmented into lethal shrapnel with a 10-meter kill radius. Every commando carried at least 2 Mills bombs, essential for clearing bunkers and trenches. The design dated to World War I but remained effective throughout World War II. Commandos learned to cook off grenades, holding them after releasing the lever to reduce the time before explosion, preventing Germans from throwing them back. During urban combat in France and Italy, Mills bombs cleared rooms and destroyed enemy positions in confined spaces. Explosives destroyed installations, but commandos also pioneered using unconventional weapons in ways no regular army had considered. Unique and specialist gear. Vickers K machine gun, originally designed for aircraft, this .303 machine gun fired 950 rounds per minute from 100 round pan magazines. When the RAF upgraded to newer weapons, commandos grabbed the surplus Vickers K guns and mounted them on jeeps. The SAS pioneered jeep warfare in North Africa, fast-moving vehicles bristling with Vickers K guns attacking German airfields and supply columns. 2 or 3 Vickers K guns on a single jeep could deliver devastating firepower during hit-and-run raids. The high rate of fire compensated for the movement of the vehicle. This tactic became the blueprint for modern Special Forces vehicle operations. Folding canoes, cockles. Technically not a weapon, but these collapsible canoes enabled some of the commandos' most daring raids. The cockle Maxu 2 could be folded flat for transport, then assembled in minutes. 2-man crews paddled these canvas and wood frames through enemy waters for maritime infiltration. Operation Frankton used cockle canoes to penetrate Bordeaux Harbor. The canoes themselves became weapons when combined with limpet mines, silent infiltration platforms that German defenses couldn't detect. The vulnerability of these fragile boats made the operations incredibly dangerous, but the strategic results justified the risks. The legacy. From the Fairbairn Sykes knife that symbolized silent death to the Bren gun that anchored every squad, British commandos proved that elite soldiers with the right tools could achieve strategic objectives beyond their numbers. These weapons weren't the most advanced or the most powerful, but in trained hands, they changed the course of the war. The Commandos established the template copied by every Special Forces unit since SAS, SEALS, Delta Force. All traced their lineage to Churchill's Raiders. The emphasis on stealth, precision, and surgical strikes over brute force became modern special operations doctrine. From silent knives to suppressed guns to devastating explosives, this is every weapon that made the British Commandos the original special forces. Over 20 weapons and tools that proved small teams with the right equipment could terrorize an entire army. Which of these weapons do you think was the most badass? The silent Delisle carbine or the brutal Smatchet blade? Drop your pick in the comments. Hit subscribe for more Special Forces history and check out the SAS weapons video on your screen. They inherited everything from these commandos.